Hey, space fans, Tarek Malik, editor-in-chief of Space.com here, and on This Week in Space, we dove deep into the Golden Dome. Check it out.
So they selected a Space Force general to lead the ambitious and likely grossly underestimated in terms of budgetary terms and likely delay prone Golden Dome program. It's an ambitious idea for those of us old enough. It kind of strikes back of a strategic defense initiative, otherwise known as Star Wars. But of course, we're much advanced since those times. Israel's done something like this. Maybe we can do it. But this one's a little more ambitious than Israel's because it is supposed to include catching things coming out of orbital trajectories, right?
Yeah. This is a pet project that the Trump administration announced. I think during his administration, his what is that? That State of the Union thing, or his when he took office, he said we're gonna create a golden dome around the country. It's a missile defense shield, very much like you said, Israel's Iron Dome,
Mhm.
and it's going to cost 175 billion dollars.
Wah,
But we didn't hear.
wah.
Yeah, I know we didn't hear too much about how it was going to work until an event at the Oval Office this week, where Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth unveiled the overall plans, which basically means that they're going to spend this 175 billion is what they're setting aside for it. It's going to take 3 years to develop, even though, like as you said earlier, Rod, it might take a lot longer. And he named uh, uh, Space Force General Michael Gutlian, the Vice Chief of Space Operations, to be the one to go ahead and oversee it. And he said it is time that we change the equation and start doubling down on the protection of the homeland, is what Gutlian said during the actual press conference itself. But they've got their work cut out for them, because this is something that dates back to the 80s with Ronald Reagan's Star Wars missile defense plan. In fact, Trump name dropped Reagan during his kind of opening comments about why he wanted to do this, make the country safer, etc. But I don't think he said Star Wars by name. And of course, we didn't get orbital lasers or any of that kind of thing from Star Wars, or did we? Rod, do you know anything?
Well, I
Anyway,
mean, no, all
so
kidding aside, though, they did do a lot of research on high
yeah.
energy chemical lasers and stuff, which was pretty impressive. I guess the question that occurs to me here is, has anybody said the words fixed price contract or cost plus contracts? Because that is going to be, and because I guess this will probably be a somewhat dark budget, it could get really expensive really fast if they do cost plus, which the Air
Yeah,
Force loves to do
yeah.
for Space
There's
Force.
there's 25 billion earmarked to help start the funding for this program in
Oh,
the
you mean
in
like
it.
more than NASA's whole budget this year?
Yeah,
Great.
pretty much. Yeah, in the one big beautiful bill legislation that the House I guess signed off on to go forward. So that's the initial big conglomerate bill that has a lot of Trump's
Mhm.
agenda stuff in it. And then of course they're going to need to develop a bunch of space-based interceptors, a bunch of monitoring satellites, etc. That all could be part of this. The Congressional Budget Office has outlined in a report that the lower estimates are on the 161 billion cost front, but it could even go all the way up to 542 billion, or that's more than half $500 billion if things don't go as planned. And as you just alluded to, it could cost a lot more than that, depending on what type of contracts they set, what the success rate is for that stuff, and what defines success as well.
Now, just so it's said, I'm not trying to beat up on this particular administration for this idea because, as you point out, it's been tried before, and there's some wisdom probably to having this kind of defense system. I think what sort of bugs me is how much is going to be thrown at this when we're struggling to get this return to the moon. Now, is returning to the moon as important as defending the country? Probably not.
Hmm.
But we've been diddling around with this since 2004 in one form or another, with a break for asteroid redirect, which didn't happen either. And we've got this
Don't
surviving
don't get me started on AIM, arm.
this this surviving hardware which works. We've got a moon rocket that costs a bunch of money, but it works. We've got a capsule, the Orion, which costs a bunch of money, but it works. We have a launch system that's still, I think, trudging towards completion. The big overblown, what am I thinking of? There's a specific name for it. The contract that's gone way out of control for the gantries. launch platform.
Oh, the mobile launch
Mobile launch
platform. Yeah.
platform. Give me a break. But, we're really close. So can you guys just, maybe give NASA a little bit extra money now, get them over the finish line. If you hadn't said we're going to beat China back to the moon, I wouldn't really care so much. But you said it, and now it's going to be embarrassing if you don't. And just saying, yeah, we'll just go to Mars instead doesn't make that any easier to do. And we're going to have somebody on the show, I hope, in a few weeks, that's going to talk about the difficulties of extended spaceflight. Okay.